Content guidelines provide an easy way for content strategists to enforce voice and tone when authors create content. In the previous video, we saw how developers and content strategists can use validation settings in the content types builder to make sure that authors enter content in a format that will display properly wherever it's published. While validation settings are a great way to define how content is formatted, they don't provide authors any information on how the content should look, sound, or feel. That's where content guidelines come in. Content guidelines are editable pieces of help text that you can add to fields when you build a content type. When an author uses that content type to create a new entry, the content guideline will appear as they begin to enter the content into the field. You can add content guidelines to any field, including composers and components. While you can provide any information you like in your content guidelines, they are a great opportunity to remind authors of the voice and tone they should be using in a specific context in which that field will be used. Say for instance that you create a content type to store information about your products that you'll display on your website or mobile app. That content type may have the following fields: name, category, full-size image, thumbnail image, long description for use on individual product page, short description for use on the product listing page, metadata description for the use in search engines, social media headline, and social media description. If your company has a comprehensive voice and tone guide, each use will probably require a different tone, and you can use content guidelines to remind authors of the tone they should use when filling in these different fields. You can even add content guidelines to image fields to make sure that authors abide by your branding guidelines. Let's take a look at how you set this up. Open an existing content type or create a new one. I've created a content type called actor. In the content type builder, select or create a new field. In this case, none of my fields have content guidelines, but I'm going to select bio as this is the one that will need the most guidance. Click on the Editor tab to bring up the editor settings. These settings change how the field appears to an author when they create an entry. In this panel, there's a text box called Content Guidelines. Enter the guidance that you want to accompany the field into this box. You can enter as much text as you like here, but try to make it concise. Text, markup, quote, number, and entry fields also allow you to add placeholder text, which will appear in the field until the author starts to type. You can use this to give authors a hint as to what you expect them to put in the field. Placeholder text is really useful when used alongside content guidelines. By telling people what you expect them to put in your field, you can write more concise content guidelines. In the example above, for instance, I've already told the author that the field will be used as a bio on the actor's full page, and I've set a character limit on this field. So as a content guideline, I simply say, be informative. This is to tell the user all the useful information about this person. Keep it in the third person, and keep it to their professional life. It's worth bearing in mind that content guidelines are best used to provide authors with a bit of help with the look or feel of the content they're creating. By choosing the right field editor and using validation settings, you can sometimes cut down on your content guidelines, or do away with the need for them altogether. That's all there is to it. To get the most out of content guidelines, it's important that your content is broken up logically, and your organisation has a comprehensive guide on how you should use voice and tone. By having a clear idea on how your organisation's tone changes in different scenarios, you'll be able to craft really helpful guidelines that will help authors create authoritative and consistent content that will strengthen your organisation's brand and identity and credibility. If you'd like to learn more about the Contensis CMS, please head on over to zenhub.zengenti.com.